Welcome to the Bryan Cooper Show, where we pause, reflect, and take steps towards a life of meaning and purpose. I'm your host, Bryan Cooper. Today, we're going to dive into a topic that's impacting millions of people in America and the world: mental health. It's no secret that mental health is the number one struggle that we're facing today. But what's equally important is understanding mental wellness practices we can apply to overcome this challenge. So grab a cup of coffee, find a comfortable spot, and let's talk about how we can build resilience and increase our mental well being. Okay, everybody, let's get started. Let's dive into one of the really interesting statistics that we are faced with right now. It's 1 in 5 Americans are working through or suffering from some sort of mental illness, whether it's just depression, anxiety, feelings of anxiousness. I mean, we're all connected to somebody that actually is going through something like this, whether it's ourselves or somebody else. I mean, 1 in 5, we're connected to somebody that's going through a difficult time. And what used to be kind of a hush hush issue, like people wouldn't talk about their mental health because it was kind of weird. I would think we've seen in the last 10 years a big shift. People start talking about the fact that, yeah, I do struggle with depression. I do struggle with anxiety. I struggle with many different things that just keep me feeling blah. And we don't want that, but it does affect every single one of us. I know just a few years ago, we were going through some different business transitions, some really difficult things, and it hit my wife hard. I mean, she was a great business owner, built stuff for years, and came to a point in her business where just things weren't going well, and it some things happened outside of her control and just rocked her world. And it was really difficult for her to get out of bed and just to be the mom she wanted to be, the wife, the business owner, and it really sidelined her for quite a while. And then we looked at, like, what are some of the mental wellness practices that we can get involved in that makes a big shift. We also got involved in a mental wellness company and built a business that supports um, just general well-being, mental wellness, thriving, living your best, living a life filled with joy and vigor. And it was a really powerful impactful move that we made in our life, and we're so glad that we were doing that. But in the beginning, it was definitely rough. I mean, you get up, it's like you feel like the walls are caving in sometimes, and I wasn't feeling it as much, but I could feel it from my wife, and that's not easy to go through. But I bet you have somebody in your life, or you are going through something difficult where your mental wellness is just not where it needs to be. But we want to thrive. We want to be mentally fit. We want to be mentally in a place where we just feel good about our day. We feel on purpose. We feel passionate. So, what are some of the things that we could do on a regular basis that just helps with mental wellness? Because if there's kind of a crisis going on, we just need to focus on the solution. And what are some of those solutions? So, in this episode, I'm just going to go through some easy practices that we can apply that help us just create better mental wellness in our life. They don't cost anything, which is really cool. There's just simple day to day things that we can add in that make a huge difference in our life. So, what is the number one thing that we could do to help shift our day, to change our energy, to help us feel less blah and more alive? And that's just a simple practice of gratitude. Gratitude shifts us from a negative environment to a positive environment the fastest. I'm a huge proponent of personal development stuff. I'm in my material, in my coaching, my training. It's always a huge emphasis on just using gratitude in your statements when you write down every day, when you journal. Always add gratitude, and then take time to practice gratitude regularly. And one of the best things you can do is just in the morning when you get up is write 3 to 10 things that you're grateful for. It could just be, I'm so grateful that I had a bed to sleep in. I'm so grateful that I'm breathing. I mean, it can be the simplest, easiest thing. It doesn't have to be something profound that you have to take a long time to think about. It's just, I'm grateful for today. I'm grateful for the sunshine. I'm grateful that there's clouds because there's purpose in the clouds, right? And just when you get into that space of thinking gratitude, then it just changes so much about our day. I mean, literally, we can see the effects of just listening or watching the news. They say you are 27% more likely to have a bad day because most of the news is just negatively charged. And so there's not a lot of positivity there. So it actually decreases your mental wellness just by watching the news. So I say just avoid the news and listen to stuff that's going to propel you forward. So maybe it could just be relaxing music. It could be a podcast like this. It could be another podcast. There's so much information that we have access to. But if we can switch from negative information to positive information, that's going to make a huge impact on our day. But gratitude is key. Add it into your daily routine if you haven't already. But when you do, you will see so many positive effects. So just give it a try. And then there's prioritizing rest and reflection, taking time each day just to be still. Sometimes we live in such a high energy, fast paced world. We feel like we have to be busy all the time, doing stuff, go, go, go. And sometimes, even as entrepreneurs, we feel like we just have to be grinding it out all the time. But that just leads to burnout. And so many of us experience burnout because we're just doing too much. So sometimes we have to take the intention and be deliberate about that rest time. Time to just chill. Find a quiet place where you can relax and just feel peace because peace is powerful. And then just reflect on your day and look at, like, what's the things that causes stress, and how can I do maybe less of that, or maybe I can have a better attitude in those situations that will keep me from being stressed, because sometimes it's just about how we respond to a situation. So we can react negatively or we can respond calmly, and practicing that makes a big difference. I remember, especially when we had kids that were young, and kids are busy and there's lots of energy and attitudes, and working with them and calming them down, and there's always things that you have to work through. And it seems like at nighttime the bedtime routine is, it can get a little crazy. And I remember getting so frustrated that they wouldn't settle down and they wouldn't go to sleep. But I thought, what if I use this moment just to practice calming my body down? If I can't totally change the situation because the kids are busy and it just takes them a while to wind down, what if I just calm down and use this opportunity to be calm in the face of some chaos? And so I started doing the practice of just relaxing and being calm and at a place of peace, even though I'm still in a situation where it's busy and it's a little bit crazy with the kids. But what I found is, through that practice, is that you can start to regulate your heart rate. You can be more in control in a situation that could be extremely stressful. So I found that when I was practicing that deliberately, all of a sudden, every other situation that I came across, I found that I could be much more calm in those situations. That it helped me. It helped me in my job. It helped me when I was working with people. Being calm is powerful, and I love that that simple practice actually had some great benefits. So just think about that. And then there is moving your body. I mean, exercise is so powerful. It releases chemicals in our brain that help us relax and feel alive and focused. And we are meant to move. We're not meant to stand still. So if you're feeling off in your mental health and you're not working out, you're not getting out and walking, exercising, moving your body, think about, like, hey, what can I add in my day? Whether it's just a 10-minute walk, 10-minute walk after a meal, just to go get out in the sunshine, get a daily activity. Or if you're somebody that likes to work out, and that, which is great, you look at your workout routine. Is this like extremely stressful? What's the situation that I'm in? Is it something that I need to switch up and change? And maybe the approach needs to be a little bit different. So it's not a stressful workout, but it's a powerful workout that is filled with positivity. But the people that work out regularly typically have, I mean, all the studies and research shows they just have better attitudes. And I can totally attest to that. Days I don't work out, I definitely feel a little bit off. I don't feel totally myself. But the days that I work out, I always feel more on purpose. I feel stronger. I feel more confident. I am more mentally well just because of that bodily activity. Everybody's designed to move. Our body is actually designed for movement. The more we move it, the better off we feel. So make sure that you're just doing something in your life that has movement. And sometimes it doesn't cost anything. I mean, you could have a gym membership that's pretty small, or you could just go out and do so many things. I mean, there's calisthenics that you can do in your house. There's ways that we can work out that literally cost us nothing, just a little bit of our time. But that time that we invest back into ourselves, we always feel better because it contributes to the next step, which is better sleep. When we're sleeping well, we just feel so much better. Why? Because that's when our body repairs itself. That's when our brain gets cleaned and repairs itself and gets ready for the next day. We need good rest. Well, if you're working out, then typically you're going to have better rest because you're exhausting your body. So when you go to that point where you're ready to go to sleep, you're ready to go to sleep. And I love the days that I work out. Like I cranked it out, I worked hard, and you go to bed, you're like, oh man, this feels so good because you put in the time and you exhausted your body and you feel really good about going to bed. But on the days that you've relaxed all day long, like on a weekend or whatever, and you go to bed that night, you just don't have that same feeling. And so rest is super important. That's why we should work out and then we should do things to help improve our rest, whether it's making sure we take supplementation, make sure you don't drink a bunch of water before you go to bed. Just creating an environment that doesn't have a bunch of noise, not looking at your phone right before you go to bed because the blue light in your phone actually keeps the brain alive and act. It tells your brain to stay awake, basically. So that last half hour or hour before you go to bed, we shouldn't be looking at any type of phone because it actually causes our brain to stay awake and alive. And then we're not getting into that good REM sleep. So that is also going to contribute to poor mental health. We want better mental health. So sometimes just shutting off the phone, reading a book, listening to some music, something that's relaxing. I love to journal at nighttime. So I have my 490 formula, the book that I wrote. And when I do my journaling, I do it at nighttime. And that's when I visualize my goals as if they're already accomplished. And that's kind of an exciting thing. And that's a great practice as you drift off to sleep is to think about your goals as if they're already accomplished. And it's pretty exciting. I actually get excited to go and do my bedtime routine because it's filled with excitement of what I'm working on, what I'm accomplishing. So just add it into your routine, but it's super powerful. But make sure you're getting really good rest and limit that screen time. Like throughout the day, if you can take pauses from screen time, especially right before you go to bed, it's going to be a huge benefit. There's a lot of research on social media and actually how it's antisocial because we're looking at these devices and we're having interactions digitally, but we're not having interactions physically, in the presence of other people. We are all designed to have human connection, not through devices, not through electronics, but just physical connection. Like we should be hanging out with friends that have like, like similar ideas. We're excited to be around them because it's a growth environment. We're working on our goals. We're talking about similar things. And, obviously having a great relationship. Um, marriage is something that you have to work on. My wife and I, we have to work on it regularly because marriage isn't easy. But when we work at it intentionally, we put in time, it's just, there's such a benefit. But you're going to gain more from having that strong relationship and not looking and spending so much time on these devices that really pull us away from the social interaction that we need to have as humans. So those social media outlets, they're great for so many things, but they can actually contribute to poor mental health. So taking a pause from them, taking a break and saying, you know what, maybe I don't even need that. All you have to do is just step away from it and literally a few minutes extra a day, and that intention just creates more opportunity for peace, interaction with other people, and that those it's just like slow little markers. You're doing these little things throughout the day that over time it contributes to some massive improvements in our mental wellness. But remember, we're humans, we're meant to connect to other people. So figure out ways that you can do that, putting your phone down. I like Simon Sinek, he talks about, when he goes out with friends, they all put their phones in a basket and nobody touches them and they just hang out and have a great time because they're not distracted by that. I think it's really powerful practice. But just think about it in your life. What are some ways that I could limit screen time and spend more intentional time with people? They're going to benefit massively. And in turn, you're going to benefit as well. Because if somebody were to walk into your presence, put their phone down and focus on you for a while and just ask you questions and be really interested in who you are and what you're doing, it's going to be a totally different feeling than if the same person walked up and they were on their phone and constantly checking their phone, looking up and down. You just wouldn't feel that important. So little things that we can do that contributes to some better mental health collectively is in a community, in our groups and our friendships and all those different things, it plays a huge part when we decide to be super intentional about just focusing on other people and how can we make their day better. And when we're focusing on how we can make other days better of people, we in turn just feel so much better about ourselves. There's something about helping others that makes such a big difference. So if you're feeling down, if you're feeling like low energy, just get helpful, help other people. And in turn, your energy is going to go up. That is great mental wellness. And then create a goal driven routine. So when we create, like, say, okay, I want to do this, whether it's, working out, um, and then, doing things that can help increase my finances, doing things that help increase my relationship, well, you have to kind of create a plan. And that plan needs to be written down. So you write out the areas that you want to improve in your life, like, okay, relationship, what do I want to do? I need to do 3 things today that can improve my relationship. Whether it's just, like I said, putting your phone down, having a few extra minutes of just focused attention on that other person and really connecting. That's a big thing. Just little gestures and encouragements that you can do, just little things, and write them out specifically. Okay, that's a part of my routine. I'm going to add these things in because I know that's going to contribute to so much strength in the relationship. It contributes to your mental wellness. And then when it comes to financial goals, what are your goals to increase your finances? Inflation's on the rise, so we need to have goals that help us grow our finances. But what is that? And we're never going to change it unless we write it down and be intentional. So we should say, what are the 3 things I'm going to work on to improve my income? Whether it's at your job, you could be just asking for a raise, but not just a raise in that job. It's how can I add value that they would see, that they would be totally open to giving you more money in return. Because we just increase our service, we increase our value, and in return, we should be paid and compensated for that. So your financial plan could be just, I'm going to add more value in the workplace that I'm already working. And through that, it opens the doors for me to earn more right where I'm at. Or you could be an entrepreneur. Think about like how you're going to increase your business. What's your plan? What's your daily action steps? What are you doing every day? And write it down exactly in detail what you're going to put into your business that increases your earnings. So we got to have a plan with that. And then with our health, what's your plan? Like, okay, I'm going to the gym at this time. I'm going to put in half hour, whatever time that you need to, and I'm going to do it 4 or 5 days a week. And you carve out the time and you make sure you commit to it. Do you know that sometimes mental health problems are just from a lack of self esteem? And how do you build self esteem? One of the best ways is through task completion. Because when we accomplish a goal, and you can literally, you have your goals written down in your daily routine and you have a checkbox, they say the dopamine that you get from just checking that box is massive versus, just you having your routine, you do the routine, and then at the end of the day, you've done the things that you've, set out to do, which is commendable. That's awesome. And if you can be the type of person that sticks right with your goals and your disciplines, then you're going to have massive success. But the cool thing is you could write out the things that you do. And then at the end of the day, if you had a checkbox and you check those off, you would actually increase your confidence, your self awareness, and you would feel just better about who you are just by simply checking a box because of the dopamine release that we get from that. The science behind it is really cool. But write out what you want to accomplish, just check them off at the end of the day, just as a sense of like, I did this, I got this done. And that's a huge contributing factor on how we show up with our mental wellness. And then there's the big aspect of nutrition. You know that we say that we are what we put in our body. The unfortunate thing with the American diet is that it doesn't really benefit us because there's so many preservatives and there's so many toxins There's so many things that they add in our foods that shouldn't be there. They do cause gut problems, and that gut problems affects our brain massively because the studies and research in the understanding what the microbiome is in the gut and the gut brain connection, whatever's going on in your gut, if your gut's not feeling well, if it's not running optimally, then it's going to affect your brain because there is the vagus nerves that connects your gut, your heart, and your brain, and it sends signals back and forth. And if the gut's not working properly, then your brain is not working properly. Most of our serotonin and our dopamine and our GABA, all of those feel good neurotransmitters, those are all produced in our gut primarily. So if we're not eating healthy, we're not going to feel mentally well. And so the more that we can eat clean foods, drink water, reduce the level of dyes that are in our food. If you can go more whole foods, like three ingredients or less with extra water, I mean, it makes a huge difference in your diet. But using probiotics and prebiotics and things that are just going to help your gut work optimally, it makes a huge difference. And you got to think about it this way: if you put really low quality gas in a Formula One race car, is it going to perform its best? Well, no. A Formula One race car is a precise machine designed to get high output, and it requires high efficiency fuel, like high Formula One fuel, that's going to get the most efficient mechanics out of that fuel. So anyway, if you put garbage in your body, it's gonna be like that Formula One race car. It's just not gonna perform as that low grade fuel. But if you put high performance fuel in there, that just like I mean, we're just going to work more and more optimally in our health. Our gut's going to work better. Our brain's going to work better because we're putting in good things in our gut. Your mental health really does start in your gut. So think about that and start researching what are some ways that I can help improve my mental wellness just by improving my gut. My wife and I are in a company that helps with this particular issue, and it's so rewarding to see when people start taking nutrition seriously and they work on their gut, how it just completely changes their mental wellness. So there's so many answers out there for us. There's so many options for us to be able to increase if we're having our mental wellness, if we're having a bad day. So think about just these things. Just make sure you're doing gratitude. Pause and reflect. Move your body. Limit screen time. Connect with others. Create a goal driven routine. And through that, we're just going to see massive shifts in our own life. And the biggest thing that I think about that I think is such a benefit is when we take action on our own mental wellness. We decide that we are going to put ourselves in the driver's seat of making sure that we are feeling our best. Everybody else we come in contact with benefits because we feel the effects of somebody that's struggling and they're down and we don't like it. We feel that when they're going through a bad day. But if they took the time and they worked on their mental wellness and they showed up on their A game and they're feeling great, well, getting around that person has a whole different effect. You're like, wow, this is a person, I want to be around that person. Their energy is great because they took deliberate action on making sure that their mental wellness was at a peak. And we can all do that. So we can do so many things that's going to make a difference in our lives because ultimately it's about impacting the lives of other people. So let's just be diligent in our mental wellness practice. Let's focus on growing us as an individual and just doing the very best that we can. But I hope you found these tips helpful. Go out there, use them, and together, let's just make the world a better place. Thank you.